By the way, how's the 2 days? I'll enjoy teaching so much. Spending time with you is fun. It's really fun for me. It's good. I love it. I really wish I could do more. It's because of a time issue. It's really a time issue. I got to pick and choose. But I enjoy this a lot. So I appreciate you for being here, spending the time. So step 7, invest in high return investments. So we have high income skills. We talk about scalable business. Do you now have a better understanding of what makes a business scalable? Yes or no? Yes. Right? A star business, now do you know? Yes. Do you know what a dead horse is? Yes. And should you kiss the dead horse and hope that it will come back alive? No, you got to move on. Right? Do you have to start a business in order to leverage a star business? No. You can work in one, partner in one, invest in one. Or business within a business entrepreneurship model. Chances are, for most people, you won't start one because it's so rare. And it takes a certain visionary to see what's happened in the marketplace, plus the right connection, resources, everything else to make that a go, right? It's hard. Look, I mean, there's only one Uber. You can argue there's the Lyft, but really there's one Uber. There's one Airbnb, right? There's only one. You don't see a lot of those out there. One Alibaba, just one. Just one. Okay. High return investments. Now, finally, after all these things, we could kind of talk about what to invest in. But can you see, it really matters a lot less. This is like my students who come through high-ticket closing and say, hey, Sifu, give me the script. What is the script? By the time you graduate, like, what script? Can you see? By having the skills of business acumen, it matters a lot less. And if you know how to read the market, how to build a team, how to move the needles, it matters a lot less. As long as you pick the star business, you put yourself in a position, pretty much in a position that you can't fail. That's what you want to do. Put yourself in a position that you can't fail. Not speculate, not gamble, right? Now that we have increased our income drastically, now let's figure out what you do with your income. Every dollar that comes in, we're going to use the bucket system, right? Divide it up. As your income increases, you keep your expenses over in check. So now you have more money to invest. Now you're making six-figure, multiple six figures. Yes, income coming in, right? Income coming in, cash flow coming in, income coming in. So what do we do with that money now? Do we just go buy a Lamborghini with that? No, we're going to invest that wisely, right? So the two biggest mistakes that people make, number one, they try to get rich now with the investments. So they invest in stuff that is way too risky because that's all they have got. They need to get the most amount of money in return with this one thing, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Or they try to kill the golden goose that lays the golden egg. Why the wealth triangle is so critical? Because now when you invest, you don't need the investment to feed you. You are already feeding you. You don't need to kill the golden egg. Example, let's say you find a very good piece of property, you invest in the property, you start throwing off cash flow, I don't know, $500 a month, let's say. Decent, $500 a month cash flow is coming in. Well, you can't really pay your bills with that, a little bit, it's not a lot, right? But if then people, it's like, okay, I buy one piece of property, it's got $500, but they got no other income streams coming in. Now they try to do a second deal, all overly leveraged. It becomes very ugly. Versus you've got income coming in like this, you manage your money wisely, you put into an investment, you don't think about it. Because you still have all this multiple streams of income, your life is fine. And then you have more money, you put into things, you don't think about it. Within the wealth triangle, the most critical part about high return investments is designed not to just support your lifestyle, but really is designed to build your net worth, Write this down. It's net worth. We are not trying to maximize and generate the most amount of cash with the investment. You already have cash flow coming in. Done properly, you follow this system, you already have that coming in. You don't need to worry about paying the bills. So don't kill the golden goose. Let the thing go. That $500, just keep that $500 cash flow, instead of putting into your, pay for your bills, let it accumulate. Just keep dumping into the investments. You don't need it. Let it keep growing. Let that keep growing. This is how that will grow faster. You'll be investing your earnings, right? And you're still making money with your skills every year, increasing that. Just let your investment go. That's the problem. When something that works, you got an investment. It's like people who buy something, buy low and sell high. It doesn't matter. Cryptocurrency, forex, stocks. So you put in $10,000, now you double your money, you got $20,000. So fucking what? How has your life changed? You still got to eat. Then what do? You speculate again. Right? No income. So you double your money, it's phenomenal, but now it doesn't matter. You're far from there. So people brag about, I'm going to making this kind of return, I'm making that kind of return. It doesn't matter. Income. Make sense? Okay. And here's the problem. All the qualities that make you a great entrepreneur are the same qualities that make you a lousy investor. That is the most difficult part for entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs are very, very lousy investors. Because the qualities that make you a great entrepreneur, what are some of those qualities? Risk-taking. What else? Pivot. Impatience. What else? What else? Optimistic. Yes, I'm going to make it work. It's going to work. What else? Distractions. What else? Too self-trusting, right? A little bit too much confidence, right? Yeah, the business is not good, but I can always bring in management. These qualities make you a lousy investor. This is why a lot of entrepreneurs, they're high income, underinvested. Write this down. Most entrepreneurs are high income, low, underinvested, because they don't have time to think about it. They're building their business. All these things, it makes them a very lousy investor. This is also why there are very few great entrepreneur and great investor. Very few in the whole world. Because it's almost like you got to have almost like a split personality. Like what makes you so good, so innovative, trying new things. Here, you got to be a completely different person. That you are patient. You don't take risk, right? You are like all these. You are pessimistic. You think about what could go wrong. Here, you're like everything is going to be great. I'm going to make it work, right? So you're going back and forth like this, right? That's usually when you go to asylum. You have a split personality, right? Because you're going crazy. It's the opposite of that. Very hard. Very, very hard. People can do this very rare. Very, I've met only a handful. Very rare. So let's talk about risk. When you can minimize the risk, you have won. You can worry a lot less about the return. What we want to do is minimize the risk. So the first risk we're going to talk about is credit risk. This is the risk that the person you have given credit to, right? They're unable to pay you back. Not even the principal, but the interest. That's the first kind of risk. Credit risk. And then you have country risk. How many have seen countries go down? Countries go bankrupt. Yeah, that's a country risk. Political risk. Certain countries, where there are political changes, it affects the business. Something to consider. Just like in the USA, when there's party changes, president changes, does that affect the economy just a little bit? You bet. Is that a risk as an investor? Right? As a business owner, we got to think about these things. It affects, especially when you're playing at a high level, right? Political change. This is also why it goes back to as a stock business, when you sell to a global market, it matters to you less. When you invest in a global market, it matters, not that it doesn't matter, it matters less. right? It's not going to tank the ship. You're going to get a little bit less return, but it's not going to tank the ship, right? Political risk. Then you have interest rate risk. As an investor, if you're buying a piece of real estate, does interest rate matter? As a business owner, if you're buying a business, your interest loan, does interest rate matter? Could it be you're buying an investment today, it's profitable, suddenly the interest rate goes up, suddenly it's not so profitable anymore? Affects your payment, right? Yep, interest risk. Liquidity risk. How soon, if you want to exit, you can exit and turn that investment into money. Real estate is less liquid. Stocks are way more liquid. Place a trade, I can turn that into cash. Liquidity. How, if something happens, if you need that liquidity, if everything is tied up with very little liquid, could that be a risk? And if that happens when you are short in cash, would you be forced to sell some of your even high-performing assets, even you don't want to, but you need cash to do it, yes? Yeah. Would that lower your return overall in the portfolio? Yes, absolutely. You notice every damn investment, like all these things, no one talks about risk. Everybody talks about return. You don't need to focus how much you make. You're already making a lot if you follow the first 7 steps. Concentration risk. I have a concentration risk in my business right now. Something happens to me, it's going to affect my business a lot. Right? If you get hit by a bus, right? That's a concentration risk. Jenny gets very rich, yes. That's a concentration reward. But from a business perspective, right? There's a concentration risk. I know that. I know that fully. I'm fully aware. But I'm also fully aware it's a transition. It's a concentration risk today. By the time I build the ecosystem, I'm just a small part of the entire ecosystem. It's not about me. Closest.com, copywriters.com don't even have my name on it. The business I'm investing through ventures, they don't have my name on it. But the personal brand, I'll talk about it, why it's a powerful way to accumulate a certain form of capital, what I call social capital. I'll go into that. Number 7, currency risk. If you're buying inventory from certain countries, let's say you have an e-commerce business, you're buying inventory, you manufacture from China, does the currency affect your margins? Yes or no? Is it good to kind of know what the hell is going to happen, right? Yes. Yeah. What's happening right now, even the coronavirus? How many companies are shut down in China, like gone? Who would have thought everything is going well? It was fine. Suddenly, a virus happens. Pretty big business go down within a very short period of time. That's a risk. This is why I'm not a big fan of expansion with a lot of physical location. Because when something goes down, let's say if I'm a chain of restaurants with 100 locations, but something goes down, that's 100 locations that are going to pay rent too, right? Versus something that's more virtual. I'm not saying you have to do virtual. I'm just saying that's what I like. Yes? That if something happens, I can ride it out. It's not going to sink the ship. That's always my perspective. I don't want to sink the ship. I can ride it out. It's not a big deal, right? I'll make maybe, if something really bad happens, I will make less revenue, less profit, but it's not like I got to pay rent for 100 locations, right? My rent is my server, which is not that expensive, right? Make sense? Yes. Okay. It's not about max. Say it with me. This is so critical. Please, loud and clear. It's not about maximizing your return. It's about minimizing your risk. One more time. It's about minimizing your risk. You've minimized your risk, you've maximized your return. You could maximize your return and lose everything. So you're getting a huge return on your money, but what if, just like Shannon, would you say double, triple the money? That's a good return. But at the same time, she lost a big chunk of that money. $220,000 out of that out of $240,000. No, you don't need to try to get rich quick with your investment. Get rich quick with income. Do that. Get a lot of income coming, multiple streams, leverage, start business. You're making a ton of money. You don't need that. This is make money, put aside, don't think about it. Make money, put aside, don't think about it. Make money, put aside, you don't think about it. This thing will keep growing. You don't think about it. And before you know it, it's like, holy shit. Like, it's like you put away so much stuff, like, what is this? You got, like, you thought a little pile of money, you open the door, it's like, whoa, man, there's a lot of money, right? Then you put it into more. You don't touch it. So the answer, the question is, when do you touch the investments and kill the golden goose? The answer is never. You just don't. You don't need to. Not if you invest 10% of your what you earn into your skills, into your learning and doing all that. You don't need to touch it. Your problem would have, you have this going, making a lot of money, the start business making a lot of money, and this thing in the beginning would be slow. How many recognize that? Slow. But once it builds up momentum after that 7-10 years, this thing is significant. Now, ideally, like I said, you want this to be so significant, you're only spending the investment income. That it means, think about this, stay with me. This pile is so big, you only, let's say your overhead is $20,000 now with the Lamborghini, $20,000. Your investment income is $20,000 a month. This pays for expense. But this is still coming in. You can pretty much invest a big, this is 80, 90% of this. And this pile gets even bigger, faster. Because now you don't need to spend it. You don't need to touch it. You're making that 20, 30, whatever, how much, all in. I don't need it. I don't need it. Just every month you're feeding into this machine. Oh, then this machine gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it will give you more. Now this is when you have the investment income. This is where you can really enjoy luxury with no guilt. You could buy that expensive watch. Right? How much an AP watch? 40? Yeah, 30, 40, depends on the style, right? This is when you can buy something like this with no guilt. Not from this. Because it is a stupid thing to do. It is. But you have the asset producing and it's okay. Because you have, next month you're going to have something else, right? And after a couple of these, you're like, fuck, it's stupid. How many watches do you need, right? After a few of watches, then you're done. It's always like that, right? After so many things, so many cards, it's stupid, it's done. I'm done with that, right? What's so fun about it? Huh? You gotta wear 4 watches on one hand? What the hell, right? Right? It's crazy. So the amateur investor asks, how much money can I make? What's my return? What does the amateur investor ask? A professional investor, which you are, yes? Say, I'm a professional investor. You ask, how much money can I lose? What's the downside? What are the risks? What the hell could go wrong? What could go wrong? What are the risks? Out of some of the risks I've shared with you. Concentration risk, liquidity risk, currency risk. What is risk? How much money can I lose? How much money can I lose? Can I live with the downside? Can I live with the downside? If it doesn't work, then what? Don't need to take risk. This is why it's a huge myth. People say, oh, investing is risky. Investing is not risky at all. Like, if you think of it this way, if you're investing in the business, you invest in the stock business, what's risky about that? Yeah, not knowing. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Yeah, not knowing is risky. It's like driving a car. You don't know how to drive? It's like, hey, what most people do. I don't know how to drive a car. Never driven a car before. But it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to blindfold myself. Okay? I'm going to stick a knife right here on this. And I'm going to drive on the highway and press on the gas. I think that's a little bit risky. Right? But if you know how to drive, right, you check, okay, make sure everything's good, look in the mirror, everything's kind of nice, and make sure I turn, I do the signal, right? Now, is there a risk in driving? Yeah, but it's our job to minimize the risk, upgrading our driving skills, knowing how to drive, learning from maybe a driver teaches how to properly, right? When we learn how to drive, and you with enough practice, and you try to also drive in maybe not over speeding, right? Not taking a bit too much risk within a certain boundaries. Driving is enjoyable, it's cool. It gets us from point A to point B to a destination. That's exactly what investing is, in my mind. And and then you can bring your family along, right? That you go on this and that. That's what investing is. Investing is not risky at all. In fact, when you get it, it's quite boring. Because you just make money, you put into it, you don't think about it. You make money, you put into it, you don't think about it. It's kind of like a mechanical process. You do that month after month after month. Oh, kind of accumulate more money, I got to buy something else. Okay, like investment. Put that money into work. It's pretty mechanical. It's almost silly how mechanical it is. It's no more than that. You don't need more than 7 steps, I'm telling you. You don't need, my 7 steps don't change today. It doesn't change 10 years. It doesn't change 20 years. It's the same 7 steps. 20 years later, you ask me, what's the formula? I'm going to tell you exactly the same thing what I taught you today. That's when you know that's a good formula. A good formula shouldn't change all the time. It should be, it's solid. It's good. So before you ask what kind of investments you should put your money into, the first question you should ask is, what type of investor are you? So before you talk about what kind of investment, always starts with the who, what kind of investor are you? So this is fun. As I go through each level, I want you to give yourself a rating, which level you're at, okay? As I go through level 0, 1, 2, 3, all of them, give yourself a little rating where you are. Be honest, okay? Don't give yourself a rating like better than it is. Because we've got to start with honesty, right, where we're at. So let's talk about the 7 levels of investors. How many? 7. Level number 0, it's called the non-existent. What kind of investors? Non-existent. Yep, they don't exist, non-existent, right? They're not an investor. This level is actually not an investor at all. They live their lives with their heads in the sand. They don't want to hear it. They have no investments and no savings. Their financial lives are often so completely mismanaged, they do not even qualify for the simplest credit products. They cannot get a loan because their credit score is so bad. Level 0. No investments, no savings. So how many people that you know are at level 0? Put nice and high. Nice and high. Think about people around you. Level 0, right? Big chunk of the population. Level 0. Then you have level 1. The borrower. What is it? The borrower is often in a far worse financial position than a non-existent. So non-existent is kind of like 0. No savings, no retirements. The borrower is negative. They have very high levels of debt, credit card debt, student loan debt. They spend all they make and they survive on a month-to-month basis. The idea of financial planning is to get a new credit card. Or refinance their home in order to buy more things on credit. Money has how many jobs? To them? 1, just to spend, right? 1. How many of you know some borrower in your life? Level 1. This is what the mainstream media conditions us to do, to spend. You got money? Enjoy it today. Worry about that later. Take that vacation now, right? Why delay, right? MasterCard, right? $2,000, $5,000. Oh, this is priceless, right? The experience. They want you to spend money, right? We don't mind spending money as long as it's within the bucket. We'll spend money, just spend within the buckets. That's all. Level 2, you have the saver. What is it? Saver. The saver usually puts aside a small amount of money on a regular basis. The money is generally deposited into a low-risk, low-returning vehicle such as a checking account, saving account, money market account, or CD. Savers are usually saved to consume rather than to invest. A new TV, a new computer, a vacation. Like people talk about, I saved up for my vacation, right? How many of you know some savers in your life? Yes, right? Definitely, right? Mom and dad, perhaps, right? Savers. They save, but to consume. So the savers think of money has two jobs, which is to spend and to save, but then to spend. It's like kind of this cycle, right? Yes. So what are you going to do with the money? I'm going to spend a new thing. Then you have level 3. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. It's called the passive investor. What is it? Okay. So we have the non-existent, the saver, the borrower, and then you have the passive investor. These people are aware of the need to invest and usually max out their 401k, or in Canada, it's called RSP. The same idea. You're basically your retirement kind of a type plan by making the maximum contributions. Think about it, tell me, if you are maximizing your income, right, you're growing your income, would you maximize that very quickly? Very quickly. Because if your income is growing multiple six figures, you maximize it very, very quickly. That's a bare minimum. There might even be some outside investments, mutual funds, stocks, or bonds. They might own some bonds. They are the middle class. What is it? They are too busy working and don't have time to manage their money. Usually, they are professionals. They spend all their time working in a career. There's no time to manage. So they kind of just, I work and I put aside some into the pension fund or the retirement fund or the 401k. That's it. I don't want to think about anything else, right? Maybe they own a little bit, a couple blue chip stocks, right? How do you know some of these, right? The passive investors, they are intelligent people, but they're financially illiterate. Because they're professionals. They know what they do, but they're financially illiterate. They don't know how to read this. Like, good at all their jobs, you tell them, how much would you pay for this company? I don't know. Then they're financially illiterate. They don't understand the language of money. The language of money. They don't understand it. What does that mean, right? They have very little idea where the money is invested or why. They put in 401k. Where's that go? What's going to happen there? I don't think. Here's a good one. My financial planner takes care of that. My accountant takes care of that. You know they're level 3. If they can't tell you what the hell the money is doing. Level 3, right? And then you have now, there are many different types of passive investor. You have the gone into the shell passive investor, right? They will say something like, I'm just not good with numbers. It's too complicated. I'm too busy to follow everything. It's too much paperwork. We have a great financial planner, right? I have a great financial planner. Here's a good one. My stockbook broker picks all the investment for me, and he's a pro. I met him at church. I trust him. It's fine, right? I never understand how this thing works. It's just crazy. Crazy. And then you have different types of passive investor. You have gone in the shell. I'm busy doing my thing. Don't talk to me about money. I'm financially illiterate, but I'm intelligent. I work hard. And you have it's too risky passive investor. This type of investors are usually emeralds. Okay? They will say stuff like, it sounds too good to be true. Right? It sounds like a scam. There's no way you'll get that kind of return. Imagine you go back to your home, you go back to your family, and you talk to them about a George Kim deal. It's a business doing $7 million, $1 million in cash flow. You can buy for $1 million. You can borrow that money. I'm going to get all my money back at closing. What are they going to say? It has to be a scam. There's something very fishy going on, right? They whine and complain about, but then when they miss the fucking deal, they saw other people do it. They say, damn it, I should have invested in that. So they say it's fucking scam, risky. They see other people make money, they get jealous, right? How many know some of these, right? It's too risky. Then you have the gambler. Everybody's like, Ooh, the gambler passive investor. They are also intelligent people, but they impulsively buy high. See, the gambler, passive investors, here's what they love: news, sensations.